Well, firstly, over the last 2 or 3 years, we've seen teams try and play out from the back in their own penalty box, and some have done it particularly well. Manchester City, apart from against Norwich, know how to play out from the back. They create space, all that sort of stuff. The advantage of playing out from the back. Then there's teams, and Arsenal being one of them, that don't have any idea why they're trying to play out from the back, and they do it poorly. And the results are that they keep giving the opposition chances. They don't get out from the back. The whole point of playing out from the back is to get the ball into the front players with more quality. And some of the managers, some of the coaches, some of the players don't realise why they're playing out from that. They play halfway out from the back, then go back again, and the goalkeeper kicks it long. So why do they do it in the first place? That's what it's really about.
Not just in the Premier League, it just seems everywhere we see it, don't we, these days? Like, even at international level, like the lowly teams...
But the thing is, the moral of that tale is that if you've got rubbish players at the back, don't build out of the back, because...
But surely managers know when you've got rubbish players who can't do it.
They should do, but we've witnessed it. Robbo says the Arsenal did it last week. There's so many teams do it. You've got to have that B game, that B pass, so that if you are closed down quickly, you've got to be able to get that up to the front line, as Robbo says, with quality. Because if you're making the field big and you're spreading it out and people are coming short but you're getting closed down, then go along with it, and then you've got to have a decent centre forward who can hold the ball up and keep you playing.
But sometimes, even when you're playing up from the back, you have to kick it long. You know,
exactly.
if the team is pressing and leaving space in behind, you can't be afraid to go long at times.
Right.
And you mentioned Arsenal, you look at them last week, even when it was on, even when it was painfully obvious that everybody's just going to press you from high up, they seem to want to force this ball out from the back in a way that, to Robbo's point, they're not going to get any joy of. The striker is not going to get the ball in a way that he can do anything with. They don't have the midfield to really make full use of any space that they may get. Sometimes just kicking it long also just gives your back four a little bit more time, a little bit more space to deliver that ball with some quality. I find it frustrating.
And the thing is, Shaq, when you know that ball is going long, and there's a thing what you do, so you make when it does go long, make sure that it's going to be your ball rather than a fight ball. If you pull wide, you take the central defender where he doesn't want to go.
Yeah.
So then you pull out wide, so the goalkeeper knows then he can launch it. You come inside running onto it, and then with a fast break with support coming up from the middle of the park, that's how you break through all the lines, and then you're off at races. But all you've got to do is just use a little bit of your noggin, just go out wide. They don't want to go with you, and then you've got to run and jump on them, and you win the header.
Saw Latvia trying to do it in one of the qualifiers. They were one of many teams. I saw them try to play out, and they lost one of their many goals doing it. The centre half got caught in the ball badly. And then, just clearly, some teams should only do it when they're not under pressure. There's a bunch of hipsters out there who, go on social media and, generally eulogise about tactics and stuff. And I've never kicked a ball in my life. I haven't really got a clue. But they go out there and try and convince people. Listen, if Pep Guardiola, they can try and convince people to know what they're talking about, and they really don't. As Shaka said and Paul said, it's always all right to go long at the right times and squeeze the game. Even the best teams do it. You put Guardiola, you give him Huddersfield or Stoke City or any of those teams and say, go and do what you do at Man City, right? Do you think it would be a disaster? Because you coach and you manage to the players that you have, and you work a system with the players that you have, not vice versa. And you got to, it's not. Go on, Stewart.
And the most important thing is, if you want to play out from the back, you've got to have a goalkeeper that makes the right decisions, knows when to go long, knows when to go short. And the best goalkeeper at doing it is Ederson. He's created goals by when the opposition try and push high on Man City. Yep. He's the spare player. He goes long, sometimes in behind the opposition. I think 2 goals Manchester City scored last year when balls were played in behind. Route one, Aguero gets onto it. And they also create space in midfield so that when he does chip it into midfield, it was last season, it was Leroy Sané, kept on coming off the touchline, finding space in behind the main centre forward, and suddenly it was a 3 or 4 against 4 in half a pitch, and they created opportunities. Other teams don't know why they're doing it. That's key to it. They don't know why they're playing out from the back. They think it's fashionable to do so, so we'll do it.
What was it like for you watching Arsenal as a former Arsenal boy?
It was rough.
Trying to do it.
Rough. I mean, it was pointless. And that second half against Watford, I couldn't believe what I was saying. First half, they were fantastic. But second half, and I heard the captain, Granit Xhaka, say, oh, well, we didn't like the physicality of Watford. Come on, mate. What's going on here? Just get the ball down and possess it and play around them. They can come charging down and closing you down as much as they want. But if you're available, if Shaka's available and Craig's available, you're getting it. I mean, just let it go. It's unbelievable quotes. I couldn't believe what I was saying.
Could you have played it, Shaq?
No. Listen, to Robbo's point, I think to play football that type of way, you have to have a goalkeeper who is comfortable, not just comfortable with the ball at his feet, but has the passing range that Ederson does. And an example of that is just look at how different City are with Ederson as opposed to Bravo. We were very critical of Pep Guardiola and his style, but he brings in a goalkeeper who can do that. And now all of a sudden, City are looking like the team that under Guardiola that we thought. Similarly, compare and contrast that with Arsenal, the problems that they had. I don't think Leno's anywhere near as good with the ball at his feet as Ederson. Yep. But then he's taking goal kicks and actually passing the goal kick backwards onto the likes of Socrates and David Luiz. That, for the life of me, makes absolutely no sense.
People go on about stats and stuff like this. Sorry, Paul. And, fans get irate about the team. Wow, we can't defend. Sack the manager, we can't defend. Fullbacks. Managers and fans want the fullbacks to be wingers. Essentially, most of them are these days. They want the centre-half to be the Franz Beckenbauer of the current era coming out with the ball. But then they still want him on when the team's losing 2 and 3 goals and they're, outside the top 4 in the league and they get knocked out of the Champions League. It's because the basics remain the same. All the fancy dance stuff around that people got off their bums off seats is great. Oh, great football. Yeah, brilliant. Oh, fantastic. The nuts and bolts of this sport, and any sport, never change. The basics, right? Goalkeeper, the basics. Defenders, they defend first, and then you think about attack, not the opposite way. And when you do it the opposite way, that's when you get in trouble. Because they are, and I always say this, why is there a problem if a Virgil van Dijk or anybody winning the Ballon d'Or, even though I hate it? Can't be bothered with it. But why is there an issue with it? Because when you see good defending, it sticks out like a sore thumb. Because defending is an art. Scoring goals is an art. Creating is an art. Dribbling, what Messi does. Scoring goals like Ronaldo is an art. But defending is an art as a centre-half and as a full-back. Yet all we hear are supporters, in particular, who are maybe getting spoiled. They want to see everybody playing at Man City and Barcelona. That's fine. But don't then complain when you're shipping goals at the other end, because you're concentrating more on the fancy down part of the game we're seeing now, and almost negating the most important part of the game, which is the basics.
Craig, you probably had it. Maras would have heard it. Coaches always said to you before you went out, you have to earn the right to play. You can't just go and play and expect the opposition to let you play. You have to earn that right. Liverpool, when they were the top team in the 80s, they'd go long into Ian Rush to start with, turn the opposition round, and then they came back and they had room to play. Maras Ipswich were probably one of the best teams at playing out the back because they got it into Maras for the first 20 minutes, 25 minutes and played high up the field. And then they came back and Mick Mills started to come into midfield and start to play because they earned the right to play. Some of these teams aren't earning the right to play.
You can see that with Real Madrid the other day against PSG yesterday. There's a great example from Robbo, and that's only 2 teams.
Yeah.
You know on the flip side of this as well, you can ruin players' careers because I've seen players, top professional footballers, still playing the game now, like that, shaking because the coach, the manager wants them to play out of the back in a certain way, and he's not equipped. He's not equipped, so he's not going out in a comfort zone.
But it really winds me up because, and it's real ignorant because Robbo just mentioned 2 teams, and there's 2 teams out of many. Is the great Ipswich side that he was part of, and the fantastic Liverpool side that Stevie Nicol was part of. And whilst some of the laws of the game were different back then, and they were, and I'm not saying people are not fitter now and quicker, and sports science has changed and training has changed, but these guys were doing what people are doing now. It just wasn't highlighted the same because the game wasn't so available and you weren't able to consume it in the way you are now, in many platforms. But a lot of these guys were doing kind of what teams are doing now to a certain extent, not exactly the same, but to a certain extent. Obviously, the keeper could pick it up. That was a big change in the game. It slowed it down a little bit. They can't do that now, so the game's a lot quicker. But the ignorance that surrounds, you know, this game has just, people have never done this. It's utter nonsense. Because I know, having watched the Ipswich team, and I know the team Stevie Nicol played in, and I tell you what, the Man Cities of this world and the Barcelonas of this world, they would have struggled against the Liverpools of their heyday. Trust me. So people that think it's just, coaching's just been invented now. These guys have come along, we've never seen it before. Go back and look at some of the old videos.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.